Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and a video that a lot of you have been asking for a very long time. The question I get asked the most is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie and how would you rank them from best to worst? So that is what I will be doing in this video, giving you my opinion on the different Star Wars movies. But before we get into that, I have a message from Tops Star Wars who were kind enough to sponsor this video because today is Force Friday 2 or Force Friday the 2nd, however you want to call it. And due to that, they have released brand new in-game content for The Last Jedi movie that is available right now. And if you don't know what the Tops Star Wars app is, it's an app where you can collect and trade over 1,000 officially licensed digital Star Wars cards, all of your favorite characters, vehicles and locations from the Star Wars universe, and there are nearly 200 different art styles and exclusive series to collect. And as you can see here, I have a quite big collection already. And the good thing is that you can open free packs every day, which means that everyone can get in on the fun. And you can also trade with other people, and as you can see in this feed, it's a very active app. There's actually like multiple people posting every 3 seconds or so. So if you want to find someone to trade with, that is gonna be very easy. You can find a link to the app in the description below. But now let's get into the video. So I thought I would go through the movies from worst to best and give you a brief explanation of why I put a specific movie in that location. I don't want to go too much in depth with each movie or this video is gonna be way too long. So let's start off, and with no surprise, The Phantom Menace is at the bottom. But I do have to say that I am not one who hates the prequels. Well, you will see that when I rank the rest of them. And I don't hate The Phantom Menace either. I gladly watch all movies from start to finish, and I do not have the kind of hate towards some of the prequel movies that others do. But I will still rank it in the bottom because of the plot, the acting and so on. It's not the best, and the CGI is not the best either, but it is a fun movie, especially with characters like Darth Maul being in there. So that's why I put it in the bottom. And on the 7th spot I have Attack of the Clones for kind of the same reasons. I really like the end part of the movie where you get to see the Clone Wars actually start up. But all the parts with Padme and Anakin are not that good in my opinion, and there is a lot of poor acting and so on, but it does sort of build up for Anakin becoming Darth Vader, with him slaughtering all the Tusken Raiders and so on. So it's still an important movie to the whole series, but I'm still ranking it fairly low. And now to a movie that I think might surprise some of you, because next up we have The Force Awakens. This was a movie that I gotta say a little bit disappointed in. I did not think it was as good as a lot of other people did. It felt quite stale to me. I was hoping for a movie that would have a bigger war, a bit like in the Clone Wars. I mean, now the Republic had time to build up their army for like, what is it, 20 or 30 years. And then they just wipe it out with one small plot point where, oh, they built another massive super weapon that can blow up multiple planets at once. Oh, what a surprise. 3rd time in a row that happens, and the Republic is annihilated, and now we're back to the Resistance who has like 10 X-Wings and have to attack a planet-sized weapon. I just felt like I've seen that too much before. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as good as I had hoped for. And that's why I rank it fairly low. But I think it did lay a good ground for the rest of the trilogy, and I'm hoping that The Last Jedi will be a lot better, at least for me personally. And on the 5th spot we have Return of the Jedi. And not too much to say here, one of the Star Wars movies I liked the most as a kid, because well, that's when all the cool stuff happens in the original trilogy. But the older I got, the more I preferred the other ones, such as The Empire Strikes Back. But I still think Return of the Jedi is a fantastic movie, and it really tied up that trilogy great. And I have to say that this movie, together with the next 4 ones, are fairly hard for me to rank. I wouldn't say I rank them with a very big difference in between them, if that makes sense, but if I had to put them in some type of order, this is how I would put them. And after that we have A New Hope, which is on the 4th spot for me. And same here, I don't really have too much to add here. The original Star Wars movie, of course, and I would still say it's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, although that might sound a bit weird when I put it on the 4th spot. But to me, I like to watch all Star Wars movies at once, if that makes sense. So it was quite hard to rank them. And now over to the 3rd spot, which is actually gonna be Rogue One. Because I thought Rogue One was a lot better than The Force Awakens. I have to say though that the first half of the movie was kind of cluttered. I remember when they started jumping between all of the planets, it was very confusing and you started thinking, what is this? What is going on? Why are they jumping between planets every 2 minutes? But then the more it built up, it became a fantastic movie and probably one of my favorite space battles to ever be in a Star Wars movie, with the battle above the shield gate and the Hammerhead Corvette ramming that Star Destroyer. And of course it does help a little bit that Darth Vader makes a couple of really badass performances in this movie. I really liked how they tied it to Revenge of the Sith with his castle on Mustafar, and seeing him briefly without the suit, which kind of bridges the gap between Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. So Rogue One, third spot for me. And now, I know this might surprise some people, or those of you who have listened to my streams already know this, but I will put The Empire Strikes Back on the second spot. Because I would say The Empire Strikes Back as a movie is the best one. But for my personal preference, I put it on the second spot. Well, because of its importance to the series and the reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that it is such a good movie in terms of the writing and everything it brought to the table to the Star Wars universe. But I want to jump straight over to my number one spot, which is Revenge of the Sith. And I know a lot of people won't agree with me on this, but as I said, Empire Strikes Back to me is the best movie in my opinion, but Revenge of the Sith is the one I enjoy the most, and the main reason for this is that it's the movie that ties together two trilogies simply. It bridges the gap between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, because you get to see how Anakin becomes Darth Vader, how Palpatine becomes the Emperor, and so on. So it's a fantastic movie in that sense, and that's why I enjoy watching it so much. I can look past some poor acting, some poor writing at some parts, because it just feels so important to me. And I love seeing the lightsaber battles in particular, which I personally think is a lot better than in the original trilogy, such as, well, Yoda versus Palpatine and Anakin versus Obi-Wan, all that kind of stuff. Sure, they might look a little bit ridiculous, jumping around, floating things on lava, but they are pretty badass, and I do think they are a lot better than seeing Vader and old Obi-Wan poking at each other with what looks like sticks almost. So that is why I put Revenge of the Sith at the top and The Empire Strikes Back on the second spot. So I am really curious to hear, what do you guys think of my ordering? Because again, this is my personal opinion, and I'm really curious how you would rank the movies. I know The Empire Strikes Back is probably going to be the highest for a lot of people, and I would also imagine that a lot of people would rank The Force Awakens higher than I did, but to me it just was a little bit underwhelming. That's why I put it so low down, and I really hope that The Last Jedi will get my hopes up again with the sequel trilogy. But that brings this video to an end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.